Assalamu alaikum students, hopefully you are fine. Today date is 23rd December 2022 and day is Friday. Last time we studied about the comparison between developed and underdeveloped countries. Today our topic is economic, social and political problems of underdeveloped countries. So students, our topic is problems of underdeveloped countries. Before starting this topic, I will ask few questions from you that last time we did. So first question is, what are developed nations? Yes, good. The developed countries are those that are economically stable nations and they have a good quality of life. So what are underdeveloped countries? Yes, good. Underdeveloped countries are those nations which are financially and economically and technologically weak. So they are financially and economically weak. They are not stable economically. Whereas developed countries are economically stable countries, whereas underdeveloped countries are economically weak countries. So last time we did the comparison between developed and underdeveloped countries. Can you give me a few points on comparison between developed and underdeveloped countries? Yes, good. First is annual per capita income of developed countries is much more than the underdeveloped countries. And the second is level of literacy in developed countries is very high, while the literacy rate is very low in underdeveloped countries. And the third one difference was the majority of population that is in developed countries, it enjoys the facilities that are required for life, while the majorities in underdeveloped nations, they are forced to survive in poverty. And if I talk about the fourth difference, can you tell me what was the fourth difference? Yes, population growth rate is very high in underdeveloped countries as compared to the developed countries. So, you told me right now about the annual per capita income. What is per capita income? Yes, per capita income is the amount of income that is earned by, that is the average income of every person that is living in one country. And what is literacy rate? It's the average of people living in a country who are able to read and write. Okay, so these are some of the problems, or you can say this is the comparison between developed and underdeveloped countries. These are the problems like low annual per capita income, level of literacy rate is low, or population growth rate is very high in underdeveloped countries. These are the things that had made the underdeveloped countries very far, or you can say they are, or you can say their quality of life is low as compared to the developed countries. So today the topic is problems of underdeveloped countries. Now we will discuss about the problems that the underdeveloped countries are facing. So we will firstly categorize the problems. There are three types of problems that the underdeveloped countries are facing. First one is political. Second is economic. And third is social. So these are the three types of problems that underdeveloped countries are facing: political problems, economic problems, and social problems. Now we will further discuss what are political problems, what are economic problems, and what are social problems that are faced by underdeveloped nations. So students, discuss the economic problems. In underdeveloped countries, the low per capita income, it forces the people to survive below the poverty line. So the main problem is low per capita income. And the underdeveloped countries, they are not developing because of their low economic development, and they depend on rich and other developed nations. So why the underdeveloped nations, they are depending on developed nations? So let's discuss these reasons. So firstly, in economic problems, the first one is foreign debt. So students, what is foreign debt? So do you know foreign debt? Foreign debt is the loan. Like the countries, some of the underdeveloped nations, they are taking loans from other developed countries. So because of those loans, these countries are facing different economic problems. Like if I talk about Pakistan, Pakistan is currently taking loans from IMF. We are also taking loans from other different countries. Like we have taken loans from America, we have taken loan from China. So underdeveloped countries, they are taking loans from different developed nations. And moving towards the other economic problems, they are. So the other problems that comes under economic problems are low per capita income, high population growth. If I discuss about the low per capita income, as I have already told you, that per capita income is the average of amount of income that is earned by one person, or average of people that are earning within a country. So of course the developed nations, they have a very low per capita income as compared to the developed nations. The developed nations, they have a high per capita income, their people are earning more as compared to the developed nations. And third main problem is the high population growth. Population growth, it is beyond the capacity of national resources of underdeveloped nations. So population growth is high, and the national resources of developed nations, they are very low. So it means there are more people to feed, but national resources are very few. So because of a few national resources and a high population growth, it is causing economic problems for the country. So if I discuss about more problems, then they are, they include unemployment. It will include unemployment. So as you can see, there is high population growth. As in developed nations, population growth rate is very high, but there are no more jobs. As people are very high, but there are no opportunities for the people, so that they can get a job. Like there are a very few national resources. We don't have national resources, so we can't provide opportunities to our people. So it's the problem. Because of a higher population growth, we have another problem, that is growing unemployment. So because of the high population growth, we are facing another problem, that is growing unemployment. So we have economic problem. In our economic problems, we are facing foreign debt, we are facing low per capita income, we are facing high population growth, and we are also facing unemployment. So these are some of the economic problems. Apart from it, we also have an underdevelopment of industrial sector. Our industrial sector, it is very underdeveloped. Like there is no development in our industrial sector. So because of low development in our industrial sector, we are not producing many things. We have a high import rate as compared to our exports are a very few. Like we are only the major exporter of cotton from many years. So our exports are very few as compared to our imports. Our import rate is very high as compared to our as compared to our exports. So these are some of the economic problems. One is foreign debt, low per capita income, high population growth, and unemployment in industrial sector. So and underdevelopment of industrial sector. So because of these problems, these are some of the economic problems that are faced by underdeveloped nations. Now we will discuss about the social problems. Okay, students, next is social problems. Now, what are social problems? The peaceful atmosphere of a country, it contributes positivity towards its economy. But if the country has a poor law and the order situation is not good, then it will negatively affect the national life. So if a society accepts and adopts the new technology and emerging ideas according to its social setting in a changing world, then of course outcomes will be positive. So as you know that if the underdeveloped nations, they will adopt technology and they will incorporate new things in their system, so they will find out positivity in their system. But if they have a poor law and order situation, of course it will contribute negativity to their system. Underdeveloped world is a victim of different social and other different social and societal problems. Why? The reason is bad governance in these countries. Of course, the bad governance is a major problem, and experts identify different reasons for social problems. Now, let's discuss those problems. So, firstly, the main problem is lack of modern education, and second is corruption. So students, if I talk about social problems, so first one is lack of modern education. Like in our system, we don't have a modern education system. We are just following underdeveloped nations. They are just following the old, outdated systems. They are not following the new techniques and new technologically things in their system. Like this online system, it's a new system. It has incorporated new things in it. The world has moved on. There are different products of technology that have moved on, so we need to incorporate those things in our system. If the underdeveloped nations incorporate modern education system in their education system, of course these countries will not face different social problems and they will develop more. So first thing is lack of modern education. And if I talk about corruption, so it is present in underdeveloped nations. Underdeveloped nations, they are facing corruption since a long time. The countries, even if someone is present on a higher post, even if someone is on at a lower scale, all are doing corruption. So because of people who are doing corruption, the share of people is not moved cannot is not moved towards the required person. So because of corruption, different social problems are existing in the underdeveloped nation. So these are two problems that come under social problems. So the third problem is difference. So the third problem is difference between rich and poor. So as I have already told you about corruption, if there is one person who is doing corruption again and again, so he is making more money, while the poor who cannot even get his due right, so he is becoming more poorer. So the rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer. So this is another social problem that is present in underdeveloped countries. And if I talk about the fourth problem, that is the specific tribal culture. People are following their tribal culture. Like even if we go to some backward areas in their tribal culture, it is that women do not get education, so they don't make their women into enroll in different schools or colleges. The women in of those specific areas, they are not getting education. So because of these specific tribal culture, women are not getting their due rights and they are far behind than the women of other countries. So this is another social problem. So now let's wrap up these social problems. First is lack of modern education, then corruption, then difference between rich and poor, and specific tribal culture. These are the four main problems that are the social problems, and they are the problems of underdeveloped countries. So students, now we will discuss the political problems. Now what are political problems? Political problems are related to our politics. As you know, our political system is so unpredictable. The unpredictable political environment, of course, it negatively affects the economic and social life of underdeveloped countries. Lack of political stability affects the administrative system of underdeveloped countries and also create different problems. So if we enlist the problems of political, if we enlist political problems, then our political problems include our unstable political system. So first problem that we are facing in political system is the influence of is the unstable political system, and the second thing that we are facing is the influence of foreign countries. So these are a few problems that are faced by political problems. If I discuss the unstable political system in detail, unstable political system is that in which politics are not stable. If I even give example from our recent government system, so you can see that there are many conflicts between the ongoing government of Nawaz Sharif and Shehbaz Sharif, and between the opposition parties of Imran Khan. So both parties are in a continuous conflict with in between with each other. So this is unstable political system. So because of this unstable political system, political problems are created in a country. So these are the political problems. If I discuss about more, if I list the second problem, that is the influence of foreign countries. As you know, how foreign countries are influencing. Can you tell me how foreign countries are influencing the underdeveloped countries? So yes, foreign countries, like if I give example of an underdeveloped nation, if it is taking loan from a from some other country. So, what is the influence of foreign countries on different underdeveloped countries? It is because foreign countries like USA, UK, they are influencing different countries, underdeveloped countries, because they are taking loans from them. So, because as under some underdeveloped nations has to taken loan from a developed nation, so of course, developed nation will create influence on the underdeveloped nation. So they will also interfere in the political system of underdeveloped nations. So because of this interference, different political problems will be created in the system. And the third political problem that will exist are the government policies. Government policies in underdeveloped nations, they are not consistent. Like if some country has made the policies, if they have made the government policies, they are not implementing those policies properly. So because of not proper implementation, so the countries are facing different political problems. So students, this was all about the political problems of underdeveloped nations. Let's wrap up. So firstly, we have studied the developed nations, underdeveloped nations. Now, can you tell me what are developed nations and underdeveloped nations? Yes, developed nations are those nations that are economically stable, but underdeveloped nations are those nations that are not economically stable. So, what are the different problems that are faced by the underdeveloped nations? So, let's discuss them. I will ask you some questions. So, can you tell me, can you enlist the some of the economic problems that are faced by underdeveloped nations? Yes, economic problems include foreign debts, low per capita income, higher population growth, unemployment, and underdevelopment of industrial sector in underdeveloped nations. So, because of these problems, because of these economic problems, underdeveloped nations are far behind than developed nations. Okay, what are the social problems that we discussed? Yes, good. Lack of modern education, because the countries that are underdeveloped, they don't have a modern education system, and they are doing corruption. People in underdeveloped nations, they are doing continuous corruption, and they lack modern education system. Because of this, the countries are facing social problems. And because of the corruption and lack of modern education, there is a huge difference between rich and poor people. And other thing that comes under social problems is the specific tribal culture, because the girls' education, as I gave you an example, different tribes, they are not supporting the girls' education. So because of it, it is creating social problems for underdeveloped nations. And what were the political problems? Yes, the unstable political system and influence of foreign countries, and in lack of consistency in government policies are some of the political problems. So students, these were the economic problems, political problems, and the social problems of underdeveloped countries. Hopefully you have understood this lesson, and the next lesson we will discuss more about the underdeveloped nations and how can we create progress in underdeveloped nations. Till then, Allah Hafiz.